I didn't answer the knock from inside the wardrobe, but the whisper still came from under my bed. My name's Aaron. This happened about 5 years ago when I transferred to university out of state. I was 23, moving into a student hostel that was honestly more rundown than I expected. I arrived late, well after office hours. The night guard, an older guy named Ramesh, handed me a key and a worn-out welcome packet without looking up from his newspaper. "Room 306, he said. I asked if there was an elevator. He just grunted and pointed to the stairs. The hallway on the third floor was dim, smelled like old carpet and paint. Most of the doors had faded numbers and name tags. Mine 306 looked cleaner than the rest. Freshly painted, no nameplate. Just a black number. No scratches, no signs of use. That should have tipped me off, but I was tired. I unlocked the door, walked into a cold, bare room. The lights flickered when I flipped the switch, but they stayed on. There was a bed, a desk, and a tall wooden wardrobe that looked like it belonged in a completely different building. Thick, heavy wood. Old, the kind you don't see in hostels. It was dead quiet up there. No voices from other rooms, no TVs, no music. I figured maybe the other rooms were empty for the summer. I didn't think much of it. I unpacked a little, brushed my teeth, and went to sleep. That was night one. The next morning, I headed to the admin office to get my ID and paperwork sorted. The woman at the desk looked confused when I told her I was in 306. "There is no 306, she said. I laughed, thinking she was joking. I even showed her the key. She frowned, pulled up some spreadsheet, and turned the screen toward me. "This entire wing's been closed for maintenance since March. 306 was condemned. Water damage, unsafe." I just stood there. She called someone, probably the manager, and confirmed it again. Room 306 hadn't been assigned to anyone. My file didn't list the room at all. They assumed I hadn't arrived yet. They asked who gave me the key. I told them about Ramesh, the night guard. Her face got tight. "Ramesh retired last November," she said quietly. "We don't have a night guard right now." They were clearly spooked, but also embarrassed. Liability or whatever. The manager apologized and moved me to 211 immediately. That room had posters, signs of life, and a roommate who looked confused to see me but was cool about it. I moved on. Told myself someone messed up. Maybe an old key was left behind. Still, I couldn't shake the fact that I had slept in a room no one was supposed to enter. A week later, I found that old key in my backpack. I had forgotten to return it. Out of curiosity or stupidity, I went back up. Third floor, middle of the day. The hallway was darker than I remembered. Every door was locked and dusty, but 306 wasn't. The door was ajar, not wide open, just cracked. I stood there for a while. I should have turned back, but I didn't. I pushed it open. The room looked exactly like I'd left it, except the wardrobe was open now, just slightly. A tight sliver of darkness between its doors. It felt like something had shifted. I closed the door gently behind me and stared at the wardrobe. Something about it made my stomach twist, like it didn't belong here. I stepped closer. The wood smelled like old mold. My hand reached for the handle, almost involuntarily, and then I swear I heard something shift inside. Not loud, just a movement, like clothes brushing together. I backed away fast and practically ran out of the room. I returned the key that day, gave it to the admin office without saying anything. The rest of the semester was quiet, until a few days before winter break. My roommate had gone home early. I was alone in room 211. It was cold, windy outside. I was up late studying with headphones on. I thought I heard a knock. I paused my music, listened. Another knock, soft, deliberate, not at the door, not on the wall. It came again, from inside the wardrobe. My roommate's wardrobe was against the far wall, partially open. I froze. The room was silent again. Then came the whisper, not from the wardrobe now, from under my bed. "Let me out." I didn't move. I didn't breathe. "Let me out." I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and slowly looked under the bed. Nothing. but the whisper came again behind me. I spun around, the wardrobe doors were wide open, empty. I checked out of the hostel the next day. Didn't finish exams. I told the university I had a family emergency. That was a lie. I transferred to an off-campus apartment after the holidays. Never told anyone the full story. Not until now. The last I heard, room 306 was sealed for good. They bricked over the door. No knob, no number. But here's the thing that still keeps me up sometimes. The whisper didn't come from room 306 that last night. It came from my new room, from my roommate's furniture. Whatever was in that condemned room, it followed me. And I think it's still looking for someone to let it out. If you're still listening, don't open the door unless you know who's knocking. I only opened the door once, and whatever it was hasn't stopped knocking since. I stayed at a boys' hostel for 2 years during university. It wasn't a bad place. Old building, stone walls, creaky floors, but the rent was cheap and the location was perfect. We all sort of accepted the weirdness that came with it. Cold water even in summer, random power cuts, and the fact that the third floor hallway always smelled like paint even though nobody ever painted it. The real weirdness started sometime in my second semester. I didn't notice it right away. You know how hostels are doors opening and closing at odd hours, guys coming back drunk or heading out early, but it was my roommate Raza who pointed it out one night. We were both up late, maybe around 3 a.m. I had headphones on, finishing an assignment. Raza suddenly tapped my arm. He whispered, "Do you hear that?" I paused my music. There was a knock. Soft, slow. 1, 2, 3 knocks. Then silence. It wasn't our door. We looked at each other and stayed quiet. A few seconds later, there was another knock, somewhere down the hall. Then another. Every time it sounded like it was moving, going room to room. We both got up and peeked through the peephole when it came to our door. No one was there. We didn't think much of it that night, joked it was probably some idiot playing a prank. But it didn't stop. For the next few nights, the same thing happened. Always at exactly 3:00 a.m. A knock on random doors. 3 slow knocks, then silence. Some nights it came to ours, some nights it didn't. No one ever saw who did it. The next time it came to our door, Raza yanked it open mid-knock. The hallway was empty, completely empty. The lights weren't even flickering or anything. Just that dry silence you get in old buildings at night. We even checked with other students. A few guys on the second floor said they'd heard it too. Someone even complained to the warden, but nothing came of it. Just stay in your rooms after dark kind of advice. After 2 weeks, it became a routine. We'd wake up around 3 a.m., hear the knocks moving down the hall like clockwork, then go back to sleep. Nobody answered anymore. Nobody even joked about it. Something about it felt wrong. Then one night, Raza left for the weekend. He had some family event and I had an exam the next day, so I stayed behind. That night, I decided I was going to open the door. I told myself I just wanted to see who it was. Maybe it really was some guy having fun messing with everyone. Maybe I could catch them and end the whole thing. I didn't sleep. I stayed up, lights off, sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at the door. My watch ticked past 2:50, then 2:55. At exactly 3:00 a.m., I heard the first knock somewhere down the hall. Faint but clear. Then another knock. Closer. It kept coming. Slow and steady. I stood up and moved quietly to the door. 3 knocks, right at my door now. I held my breath. 3 more knocks. I reached for the knob. Another knock. Not loud or not fast, just patient. I opened it. Just a crack. And for the first second I thought the hallway was empty again. But then I saw it. It was standing just outside my door, still, facing me. It looked like a person, but something was off. It wasn't moving, it didn't flinch when I opened the door. No expression, just staring. Its head was tilted slightly to the left, like it was listening. Its skin was pale, like gray paper. No hair. The eyes were wrong, sunken deep like someone had pushed them too far back. No whites, just black, shiny pits. It didn't speak, it didn't try to come in. It just stood there. I whispered, "Who are you?" It blinked once, slowly, then it did something that still makes my stomach twist when I think about it. It smiled. but only on one side of its face. The knock came again from inside my room. I spun around, heart racing, and for a second, I saw something move in the mirror above my desk. Just a flicker, like someone ducking out of frame. I turned back to the door. It was gone. The hallway was empty again. I didn't sleep that night. I kept every light on, kept checking under the bed, behind the curtain, in the bathroom. I even opened my wardrobe just to be sure. The next day I told Raza. He didn't believe me, but he didn't laugh either. He just said, "Don't open the door again." So he didn't. But the knocking didn't stop. Over the next week, it started coming every night. 3:00 a.m. 3 knocks, always to our door. Sometimes it would come twice in one night. I stopped getting proper sleep. I started leaving the lights on, covered the peephole. Raza slept with earplugs. Then one night, the knock came at 2:47. Earlier than usual. That was the night I knew something had changed. Eventually, we moved out, got a shared apartment near campus. Expensive, but we both needed to sleep again. For a while, things felt normal. But last month, out of nowhere, I woke up at 3:00 a.m. in my apartment. 3 soft knocks, not on the door, on my bedroom window. I live on the 5th floor. There are more stories like this, if you're ready. We never had a 6th roommate, but I watched that bed sink like someone had just laid down in it. This happened in my first year of university. I was 20, staying in an old hostel about a 10-minute walk from campus. The place wasn't in the best shape, but it was affordable. And honestly, I was just glad to be out on my own. Our room had 6 beds, 2 rows of 3, lined up along the walls, each with a small locker, a fan above, and a curtain rod if you wanted privacy. But here's the thing, they only ever assigned 5 students to the room. That's how it worked, apparently. They never filled the 6th bed. No one ever gave us a proper reason. One of the older guys said something about a maintenance issue with the locker near that bed. Another said it was a policy to leave one bed empty in shared rooms, but nobody really cared. More space for us. That bed number 5 just sat there in the corner closest to the bathroom. Sheets folded neatly, locker locked shut. We kept our laundry bags and snacks on it. It became kind of a joke. We'd say things like, "Bed 5's the cleanest guy in the room," or "Don't wake up number 5, he gets cranky." We even gave him a name, Saad. But none of us actually thought anything about it. Not for the first few weeks, anyway. Things started to get weird in September. It was one of those hot, still nights where the fan feels useless. All of us were in bed, lights out, trying to sleep. I remember clearly I was scrolling on my phone under the blanket when I heard a noise, a creak. At first I thought it was someone getting up to use the bathroom, but the sound wasn't from the floor. It was the bed, bed 5. I slowly pulled my blanket down and looked across the room. The mattress on bed 5 was curved, sunken in, like someone was sitting on the edge, but no one was there. I stared for a while, waiting for someone to explain it. Maybe someone had leaned on it earlier and it hadn't bounced back yet. I told myself that. I really tried to believe that. Then it moved. Not fast, just a little shift. The sheet wrinkled slightly, like someone had changed position. And then I heard breathing. Not snoring, not from any of the other beds. Just soft, deep breathing from that empty bed. I sat up, listening hard. My heart was pounding. The breathing was slow, steady. Inhale, exhale. Close enough that I could hear the faint rasp of it. Like someone was trying not to make a sound but couldn't help it. Then it stopped. Completely. A second later, my phone screen shut off. Total darkness. I didn't say anything the next morning. Nobody else brought it up. Maybe they didn't hear it. Maybe I imagined it. But it happened again. Not every night. Just sometimes. Random. One of the other guys, Hamad, said something after a few days. "You guys ever feel like bed 5's been different?" he asked. The rest of us froze a little. Then someone joked, "Yeah, I think Saad finally got a job." We all laughed, but not really. A week later, I woke up at 3:40 a.m. to someone standing next to my bed. I sleep on my side, and I could feel it, someone standing there close. I opened my eyes just a crack, and I could see the silhouette, tall, motionless, facing me. It didn't say anything, didn't move. I didn't turn my head. I just stared straight ahead, pretending to sleep. My throat was dry, chest tight. I couldn't hear breathing this time. No footsteps, just that presence. It stayed there for what felt like minutes. Then it walked away. No sound, no shift in air. But when I finally sat up and looked, bed 5's curtain was drawn shut. Nobody ever used that curtain. The next morning, I asked around, quietly, one by one, and I realized something. All of us had seen it. Different times, slightly different things, but we all had stories now. One guy saw the bathroom door close on its own. Another said he woke up to find bed 5's blanket on the floor folded, like someone had packed up and left. But no one talked about it in front of the others, like we were all pretending it wasn't happening. The joke about Saad stopped completely. Eventually, I decided I needed to know. Maybe I was just tired, maybe someone was sneaking in. So I set up a phone on the top shelf by my bed, hit record before lights out, angle facing bed 5. Nothing fancy, no tripod, just enough to see if anything moved. I let it run all night. The next morning, I checked the footage. For the first 3 hours, nothing. Just snoring, fans spinning, some tossing and turning. Then around 3:13 a.m., the blanket on bed 5 lifts. Not thrown, not yanked, just lifted, like someone got in. You can literally see the mattress sink in real time. And then the phone falls hard. The video cuts out with a thud and a blurry image of the floor. I didn't show anyone. I deleted it the same day. I don't know why. I just didn't want that thing watching me watch it. I moved out by the end of the month. I told my parents I wanted quieter housing, transferred to a smaller room in a newer block, 4 beds, all full. No strange creaking, no empty mattresses. But sometimes, even now, if I wake up in the middle of the night, I get this tight, cold feeling in my chest. Like there's one more bed in the room than there should be. If you're still listening, don't joke about the empty bed. Her hair was dry in the mirror, but soaking wet when I turned around. This happened when I was 21, staying in a women's hostel during my 3rd semester of college. The hostel building was old. I mean, really old. The kind of place where the pipes knock at night and the windows rattle even when there's no wind. But it was cheap and 5 minutes from campus, so I didn't complain. My room was on the 2nd floor, shared with 2 other girls. We got along okay. The only weird part was the basement. It was technically off limits, but everyone knew how to get down there. One stairwell by the back kitchen wasn't locked, and if you were too lazy to wait for a turn in the shared bathrooms upstairs, you could sneak down and use the old ones. There was a bathroom in the basement hallway, long, tiled, with a cracked mirror over a row of rusted sinks. The toilet still worked, even if everything smelled like wet concrete and bleach. Nobody ever really used it. We called it the ghost loo as a joke, until it stopped being funny. It started with rumors. A few girls claimed to hear crying from down there at night, just soft sobbing, no footsteps, no flushing, just crying. The story spread fast. They said it was a girl, soaked from head to toe, crying in front of the mirror, brushing her hair even though it was tangled with dirt. When you got close, she'd vanish. One girl swore she heard her whisper something into the glass. Nobody remembered what. Most people laughed it off. But some of us, me included, started locking our door at night, just in case. There was one girl on our floor named Alina, real sarcastic type, always calling the rest of us paranoid. She was obsessed with proving the ghost wasn't real. One night, after dinner, she made a big show of grabbing her phone and flashlight and said, "I'm going to meet your bathroom girlfriend. Want me to ask her anything?" I told her not to be stupid. She winked and walked out. That was the last time I saw her. At first, we thought she was pranking us. She was the type to hide out for a day just to freak people out. But by the next morning, she still hadn't come back. Her bed was untouched. Her phone charger still plugged into the wall. We told the warden. Security checked the basement. Nothing. We watched them open the door to the bathroom. Bone dry. No puddles. No hair. No phone. They said no one had been down there for weeks. But they didn't check the mirror. That same night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Alina's voice, her stupid jokes. Part of me was still sure she'd jump out of a closet laughing, but another part deeper felt cold. I went through her stuff. I know I shouldn't have, but I was scared. I needed to know. Her phone was gone, but her tablet was in her drawer, locked. After a few tries, I got in. She used her birthday for everything. There was only one video on it, dated the same night she disappeared. I hesitated, then pressed play. It was dark at first. She's walking down the basement stairs, light bouncing around. Then she starts laughing into the mic. "All right, ghost girl, I'm here. Come brush your hair." She flips the camera to selfie mode and grins. I can see the bathroom door behind her. She goes in. The room looks exactly how I remembered. Old mirror, flickering tube light, water stains. She pans the camera across the sinks. "Nothing yet," she says. Maybe she's shy. Then she turns to the mirror and freezes. At first I thought there was nothing there. Then I noticed the reflection. There was a girl standing behind her, head down, black hair dripping over her face. She wasn't there in the actual bathroom, only in the mirror. Alina doesn't move. The girl in the reflection slowly raises her head. Her face is wrong, not bloody or demonic, just blank, like it was made of wax and forgotten halfway through. Then she smiles. Not at Alina, at me, through the screen. The video ends there. No scream, no static, just cuts out. I didn't show anyone. I deleted it. Threw the tablet into the courtyard, I don't know why. Panic, maybe. The official report said Alina ran away, that she'd been stressed, that maybe she'd gone back to her hometown, but she didn't pack anything. Her toothbrush was still in the cup by the sink. After that, things got worse. Every few nights I'd hear the crying again, soft, wet, like someone trying to breathe through tears. Once, I heard it coming through the drain in our bathroom. The girl in the room next to ours said she saw a wet footprint on her pillow. People started leaving, transferring to different hostels, commuting from home. I stayed, not because I was brave. I just didn't have anywhere else to go. Then, last week it happened to me. I was brushing my teeth just before bed, tired, half asleep. I looked up, and there she was, not behind me, not next to me, in the mirror, just there. Her hair was dripping, long and stringy, covering most of her face. But I saw enough. I saw the same blank skin, the mouth too wide, the eyes too low. She didn't move. I turned around fast, no one behind me. I looked back at the mirror. She was gone, except the floor beneath the sink was wet, soaked. I don't brush in the dark anymore. I cover the mirror with a towel at night. People still whisper about her, but no one goes down to the basement anymore. And that bathroom door, last I checked, it was open again, just slightly, like someone's waiting. If you're still listening, she knows your name now. The voice next to me said, "Don't move, she'll know you're awake." This happened 2 years ago when I was a student at a university in a small, quiet town. I lived in one of the older hostel buildings, 3 floors, creaky pipes, windows that whistled when the wind picked up. But it was cheap and I only had one roommate, so I didn't mind. My roommate, Zaid, and I had opposite schedules most weeks. He was a night owl, always out late group projects, hanging with friends, or working in the library. I was usually in bed before midnight. Some nights I'd wake up and see his bed still empty, but I was used to it. One night, I remember falling asleep around 11:30. I had an early class the next day, so I didn't check whether Zaid was back or not. I just knocked out. At some point in the middle of the night, I woke up. I wasn't sure why. It wasn't the sound, exactly. Just that feeling when your body senses something's not right. The room was pitch black except for the faint green of the power light on our router. I realized almost immediately that I wasn't alone in the bed. Someone was lying next to me. At first I thought maybe Zaid had crashed on my bed. Maybe he came in late and didn't want to wake me up by climbing up to his top bunk. We had done that once or twice after pulling all-nighters. But then I remembered Zaid wasn't in town that night. He had gone home for a family thing. He told me during dinner that he'd be back Sunday. This was Friday night. I froze. I didn't move, didn't speak. My body went cold. I could feel them beside me, on their side, facing me. Their breathing was shallow and slow, like they were pretending to be asleep. That's when I felt the hand, not touching me, but resting between us, lightly, just close enough that I could feel the warmth of it. I don't know how long I stayed still, maybe a few minutes, maybe longer. And then this part I'll never forget. Whoever it was whispered, "Don't move, she'll know you're awake." The voice was male, calm, almost gentle. I didn't respond, I didn't breathe. He didn't say anything else, just stayed there, quiet. I don't remember falling asleep. I think my brain just shut down out of fear. I woke up when sunlight hit the curtain. My body was stiff from not moving all night. The bed next to me was empty. I checked the door, still locked from the inside. Zaid's bed hadn't been touched. I tried to come up with a logical explanation, sleep paralysis. Maybe I dreamed it, maybe I was half awake and imagined someone was there. But I know the difference between a dream and something real. And that voice was real. I didn't tell anyone at first. I knew how it would sound. But that night, I shoved my desk chair under the door handle, locked the wardrobe, checked the windows twice, and kept the lights on. I stayed awake with my laptop open, trying to pretend it was all in my head. Around 2:50 a.m., I got a message from Zaid. Just checking in, I told him what happened, half joking, half serious. He didn't laugh, he just said, "Bro, something weird happened to me last week." He told me that 2 nights before he left, he woke up at 3 a.m. and felt like someone was standing next to his bed. He couldn't see anyone, but he heard whispering from the corner of the room. He said the whisper wasn't words, just this soft hissing sound like someone speaking a language he didn't understand. He thought it was a dream too, until he got up the next morning and found scratches, 3 faint lines on the inside of the wardrobe door. He hadn't told me because he didn't want to freak me out, but after what I said, he swore he wasn't coming back to that room alone. We tried to report it to hostel management. They laughed it off, said maybe we were too stressed or messing with each other. So we switched rooms with 2 other guys who wanted better Wi-Fi reception. They didn't care about anything else. I asked them weeks later if they'd noticed anything weird. One of them just said, "Sometimes it feels like someone's walking around at night." He wasn't joking. The other guy, he sleeps with headphones now. Said he doesn't like what he hears when the room gets too quiet. I moved off campus the next semester. Zaid did too. We don't talk about that night anymore, not in detail. But I still think about what the voice said, not "don't scream" or "don't look, don't move, she'll know you're awake." So who was she? And what happens if she does? If you're still listening, don't move, not yet.